Hi folks, welcome to Urban Expeditions for a little tour of Northbridge, previously known as Sighthill. Now we begin here on the Forth and Clyde Canal near Port Dundas at the Pinkston Water Sports Centre. This is the wake yard we're just checking out. This is the wake yard at Port Dundas. So we're going to go and explore Northbridge today, which is an upcoming housing development project to replace the historic Sighthill. We'll go over some of the Sighthill history and much more, but we're here to explore what is here right now, which is a £300 million development project to replace Sighthill. But first we're going to go and explore this old bridge right here. This is an old railway bridge, believe it or not, the old swinger. I'm actually quite shocked that that's a railway bridge. I had no idea. So it must have been built way after the canal. It was built in the 1880, closed 1960s. Here it is here in operation though in 1963. That's the little pedestrian bridge right there. We see all the industry right here. Oh, there's the big power station. So the bridge is in position right there, and the little footbridge is right there. So it must have connected to this, perhaps. Wow, that is fascinating. But where did the railway come from and go to? I had no idea there was a railway that crossed the canal here. And about 100 years after the canal's construction, because the railway wasn't around when the canal was being built in the late 1700s. But there was something called a wagonway which predates trains, which is very interesting. And Scotland had a couple, I believe. So there's mechanics at the bottom right there, which would come to here. We can see it's a base made up of stone and wooden timber beams, and its cylinder right here. The old font. So this is an old wooden drawbridge that opens up in the middle right there. So before we enter Northbridge, I just thought it was important to document some of the nice history here. All this robust, very nice looking infrastructure. Here we have the old gears. Oh, I can almost move it. Let's see. How do I do that? and it's just so rural in design, and I guess that's because Glasgow was mostly rural when this was all built. So the canal's leftovers has little nice rural elements to it, even though we're 10 minutes from the city centre that way. I like this cobbled path. It's cobbled all the way along the canal there. It's got the original stones. Here, the original track. Wow. See all the teeth. All the interconnecting teeth. And this. So someone would spin this, and it would spin something here, and then we've got one of those. Check all that out. Wow. Is that a little robin? It's a tiny little cute bird. This is amazing. So this is a Northbridge video, but this, look at that. Amazing. It's just important to document this history first before we enter Northbridge. All the old wood. You can see this is a track right here. But it's not as wide as you would think. I can stretch out. Yeah, so that would fit a locomotive steam engine train. Could you believe it? And this is the wake yard. A little peek into the wake yard. It's quite incredible. This old chunk of history right here. So I got a bit carried away with this bridge, probably like 10 minutes into the video already. That's quite sad and insightful. So this area must have been a acclaimed gang hangout for the Postle, and it's just a little insight into how different this area would have been just 10 years ago. So I've actually met both of them, and they've sadly passed away young and from the same area. And I guess they used to hang around here. And it was well known that different areas of the canal had little kind of gang hubs along it. And we're quite far from Postle, it's about 30 minutes that way. We're actually much nearer Sighthill and George's Cross. But yeah, it's just sad and insightful into the real Glasgow. The Glasgow that I grew up with, compared to what you're going to see over that way. So this is all gentrified now, and it doesn't grant any familiarity into what I know to be Glasgow, and that is a good thing for many people. but it's also sad for those who didn't experience this type of Glasgow that's upcoming. Different resources. Yeah, it's just kind of sad. This was all abandoned, this water sports area 10 years ago. Gangs everywhere, graffiti, waste, mess, broken glass everywhere. That's how I remember it, and now it's changed. We have cookie cutter housing everywhere. That's quite artificial, but just a better quality of life, I guess, than Glasgow's old days. It's just really sad. So now that we've left that little historic, insightful area, the railway bridge, the canal, the swans, the graffiti, the water sports, so we're entering Port Dundas, Pinkston. But as we walk past this, you may wonder what's hidden behind us. It is an old World War barge. I believe it served in World War II. I'll need to double check. Most likely World War II. But look at it. I'll climb up for a better view. Wow. Look at that. It's huge. We have a little storage room or something there. This open area, I wonder if that's where all the soldiers stood as they were being transported to war, or did this transport goods? I'm not sure. So how incredible is that? A rare survivor of one of the world wars, just sitting there at Port Dundas. I wonder if it was built here or it left here and fulfilled its duties in service and came back to rest here. It has a base built for it, so it has been strategically put here, and I do like it. I wish there was a little plaque just to say a little bit more of it, but I'll put on screen what I find out. Now this is the Pinkston Basin, once a very famous stretch of the canal where lots of industry took place. You can imagine all the old steamboats here, all the old industry boats, all the lining, all the trade moving off the back this way and that way. But now it is the Water Sports Centre, but that is a historic basin for Scotland's early trade routes. Solid. Wow. So that is Northbridge up ahead. We're going to discuss a little bit about Northbridge, a little bit about Sighthill, and well, let's explore. And now as we come to the end of the Forth and Clyde Canal at the Pinkston Basin, we enter Northbridge. So Sighthill was built in the 1960s, and by the 1970s it became apparently an undesirable place to live in. By the 1980s it became crime infested and quite run down, and by the 1990s there was a project in place to house lots of asylum seekers in the towers. So it became known as one of the most diverse places in Scotland. And by the early 2000s there was a plan of action to take it all down and demolish the full estate. Although there was a plan within it to keep some of the towers, that was not promised, and all the towers, all 10 of them, were demolished to create this. So this is a £300 million+ housing project, one of the largest in the UK and definitely the largest in Scotland. It apparently has no shops, whereas Sighthill had its own shopping centre. And as you can see, it's bordered by a canal and a motorway and a cemetery, so you are kind of isolated here, and so was Sighthill. But Sighthill had its own shopping centre, its own shops, so you do need to cross the motorway to get to any shops around here. So this is some sort of terrace walkway system. So this is actually a very historic area that I will go over in full in a future video. But in summary, it is known for its Pinkston power station, its expansion of the railway, the canal history, it has the chemical works, but most importantly it is a place where thousands of Glaswegians called home, and they've all been moved out. And I was under the impression that they were going to move back here one day to enjoy this new slice of Glasgow. The now lost Sighthill estate, where thousands of Glaswegians called home since 1969. Potentially this is for bikes to stay out the way of the people, I guess, keep it segregated now. So in this Northbridge section we're going to go and check out all this public realm. Going to go up the way to see the Rusty Bridge, and then we're going to go through the street of houses all the way up there to the old Sighthill, where there's still old Sighthill houses. Check out the pharmacy, look around to see if there's any shop units in the making, and then come full circle to see the Sighthill stones at night and the Rusty Bridge at night. On initial impression, it lacks definitive character, it lacks substance. It is a design that just keeps you kind of focused on whatever it is you're doing. Yeah, so this type of modern approach with all the very on-show concrete, it grants an impression where you almost overlook any of this trees and greenery. It's like the modernism and the concrete paths are so dominant that the trees are invisible, but also the trees are all skinny. So this rocky wall essentially separates the old Sighthill from the new Northbridge. The old Sighthill being that part of the canal, Pinkston Basin. The railway's right there, which expanded this area because Springburn Yard works just up ahead, which was the terminus after the Victorian Postal Station. Going to climb this Please excuse the ankle weights. That's for strength endurance training. Oh yeah, that is artificial, isn't it? Hear that? It's a little robin. Ankle weights are good for endurance, strength, speed, but also as a embarrassment challenger as you walk through the streets and you begin to not care about opinions and judgments. So I'm having a little bit of fun here in Northbridge, but it's not fun for everyone who lost their houses. So a large part of this video will be going out to you with a tribute at the end of the video with lots of Sighthill photos. So just down there is Pinkston Road. We have a play park, football pitches, a nursery, a pharmacy and lots of new houses. So there's workmen doing a lot of foundational work in this part as the circus is now opened and for sale straight ahead, Sighthill Circus. So they are paying homage to the old area through namings, place names such as Sighthill Circus, Sighthill Bridge. So this is going to be a rather long video and quite open and expressive, which is quite different to my regular videos, but I will begin to open up in this way as it will connect more with my audience or the people who watch urban expeditions. But I remember the flats in their last days. I saw them at the end of their life cycle, the last 4 years of their life. I'd walk through here from the city centre to Springburn on the other side of that cemetery there. It's very much like a workers' village or an army barracks to me. So this is a big open drainage system for this pond looking thing over here. Already broke and bent and loose. Rusty, aggressive looking symbols. I do like these single chairs, but cheap looking wood, not varnished, nothing, just an old farm fence being broke down. We've got rocks in cages now as walls. It's quite insane looking, because these are the sort of rocks you would see in ancient times that would make up a boundary wall, medieval times, to create a boundary wall, a moat around a castle. Maybe even these rocks to make a castle. Which reminds me of a quote, a verse in a good book, and it says that there's nothing new under the sun. There's lights under here, which is quite useful. Here is an artificial pond with artificial lily pads, and it's become quite grimy and dirty. Lots of algae, toxic algae at that. Can you believe that? That is the world we live in, folks. Do not drink. So personally, my opinion is to cover those rocky cages with nice greenery and hedges, because it's too utilitarian looking. So now we are at the entrance to Northbridge housing community, and I like this little area of seats under trees. Yeah, this is very nice. To have a little sit down under a tree is quite something. We have lighting, we have concrete block chairs, we have nice trees. Not sure what kind of tree, but the nice ones. So that is Sightthill's Rusty Bridge, which connects Sighthill to the city centre and town head. Do you know what it's reminiscent of? The famous street in San Francisco. And that's what it's like. Like, he's going all the way around to here. I can't believe that. Wow. What a contrasting image. Brand new houses up to £300,000 or more. I can't remember the price. And just someone living in a tent right in front of it. How utterly atrocious. So that's the circus with many houses. The Sighthill Circus. It's a huge half circle. So Sighthill Stones is right there. We're going to wait till the end of the video to see them. See what they look like at night. Now we enter the circus. I don't know what those are, except an invitation to hurt yourself. So those are the new builds. Kinda standard, but quite nice. And I can see some old Sighthill houses in amongst the new builds. This is the way to the park and the pharmacy and school, I believe. The lights just came on. So it is a relatively large estate and quite a difference to Sighthill. Must be a community centre with football pitches behind it. But that's the direction where the flats were. So that's the play park. It's really interesting old buildings around here. And there's a tunnel. Pinkston Tunnel, I guess. So we're on Pinkston Road now, at the bottom of the hill. The play park is up there. Oh, this old industry. It's very interesting. So that's Kepical Road up there. This is the railway that travels under the area. I like that, interesting building. So fun fact, there's a plaque on the railway further up of a plague grave victim that the railway built over their grave. How empty it is. Very liminal. Can hear little birds, but aside from that, here's more poles. Here is a big pond. And this field goes all the way to Kepical Road there. We're not going to go that way. That's the old cemetery on the hill. Railway right there. Pinkston Road there. All the new houses. Town Head. Old houses. So it's safe to say that that smell, that bad smell's still here. Just over there. And I'm not sure what that smell is. I've heard both that it was chemicals under the ground or it was a slaughterhouse, but I don't know why the scent of a slaughterhouse would linger long after it's gone. So that I never believed as a kid, but that smell, I think it's chemicals. So there's a chemical waste site buried underneath this area somewhere, and it gives off a scent of what is underneath, still to this day. But as you can see, we've not passed one single shop unit yet. So these old 1960s looking houses on Fountainwell Drive. Very eerie. So here we are at the Sighthill Pharmacy, the only shop around here, the only unit. And I can't see inside the building, so there's no shop front window, nothing like that. Nice little plant pots. So that's all there is around here. Here's a bus stop. Yeah, so just the pharmacy, the bus stop, loads of houses, and a basketball court, and not much else. But I should have said in the beginning that this is a working project, so it's not at its completion yet, so we'll see what it's like in the end. So we're going to leave this eerie little bit of Sighthill on this hilltop here, amongst the new houses, the old houses, the pharmacy, an ex-community centre by the looks of it. I'm going to head to Sighthill Stones to see what they're like, then the Rusty Bridge at night. I do hope you've enjoyed this insightful journey. If you're from the area, the original Sighthill, or you're from a different part of Glasgow and you've never even been here, because it is an interesting part of North Glasgow. Rich history going way back, and then all the social people's history. It's just very strange to walk through. We're just heading up to the Sighthill Stones now, which is right there actually on that little hill. So that's interesting, it says works ongoing until spring 2027. So here we visit the Sighthill Stones after a long day exploring Glasgow's newest housing community, Northbridge. Within the very historic Sighthill. Now look at these, a mini Stonehenge, stone circle, right in the heart of Glasgow. Well, 10 minutes from the city centre. I'm going right in the centre, and I can feel the energies. From the galaxies. This is incredible. I used to walk by here, past this Douglas Park, through all the derelict, now Northbridge, and I didn't know these were here. It's really cool to be here at night. Now we're going to go and see the Rusty Bridge at night to end the video. Very, very cool. have this ramp for the bikes, which is reminiscent of that street in San Francisco to me. But I do like it, it's really nice. There's Townhead City Centre, and here is the motorway, and that is Sighthill.